covered the 2 miles from Roseberry Topping to Gribdale Gate, and there's the Cleveland Way sign. We're now heading off in westerly direction. This road, if you continue to descend on it, will take you down to Ayton Station and eventually back into Great Ayton. But that's not on the agenda today, my friends. We're walking just a short 20 meters or so, where we will join the Cleveland Way once again. Say a quick hello to the residents of the North York Moors. What are you looking at? And then over here is an information board all about Gribdale Gate. And again, I apologise for the wind interference, but it's keeping me cool today. And there is another acorn way marker of the Cleveland Way, Kildale, 2.5 miles. But we're not going to Kildale, we're now heading for Captain Cook's Monument, so I'll see you when we get there. Okay, I've turned the speed down just a notch as we start the climb up to Captain Cook's Monument. I'm in the shade, it's warm, it's a cool breeze blowing from the southeast, and I've got a little bit of respite from the wind. So I thought I would start to offload my condition, way of life, medical diagnosis, blessing again. There's many ways to look at your mental health or mental well-being. The social stigma around mental health conditions or lack of mental well-being tend to fall in a negative bias that those people who suffer, or as I prefer to say, live with a mental health condition, also carry a unique skill set that sometimes sets them aside from the mainstream. And that's certainly the case with me. So I've offloaded the OCD thing, and hopefully some of you, all of you, have gained something from it. It's just a way of life. It doesn't make you a bad person or an awkward person. It's just a way you live your life. And some people will get it and others won't. So we've opened the drawer called HFAD, High Functioning Anxiety Disorder. It's a form of anxiety. It can cause depression. It can cause confusion in the life or lives of that person or those who live with it. So, HFAD, High Functioning Anxiety Disorder. It's a tricky one because the symptoms or the way an individual behaves start with, the symptoms are almost unrecognisable, even to the trained eye, even to doctor's use, or whoever may call themselves a specialist. Whereas with, don't take this the wrong way, but this is the only way I can categorise it, with mainstream depression or mainstream anxiety, it's very easy to detect, because the individual may clearly be an introvert. They may lack the ability to hold conversation. They may lack the ability to see a positive future or a positive outcome to something or anything. And I suppose if you was to draw a picture or a cartoon of someone with anxiety or, let's say, depression, you wouldn't be damned nor condemned for drawing a picture of someone curled up in a ball on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably, quoting such lines as, "I can't bear to deal with today," or "I can't cope with this shit anymore." Or in the most extreme case, "I can't see a light at the end of the tunnel, and the only way out is the unthinkable." But high functioning anxiety disorder, the individual on the surface will appear to have their shit together. It would not be unusual for an individual with high functioning anxiety disorder to be a high flyer, a chief executive, a business owner, an entrepreneur, a high performing, high achieving athlete, a teacher, any one of whom will have the ability to excel in the upper echelons of life and may be regarded by others as a role model, as someone to strive to be. That's what you'll see on the surface. Yet under the skin, under the surface, you will find a complex hornet's nest of chaos and confusion, of self-doubt, lack of thought on their own personal achievements, and it can be an incredibly dark place sometimes. But not today, my friends. Not today. So these are the flagstone steps, or a pathway which leads us to Captain Cook's monument. And there it is. And that's where I'm heading now. And that's where I'm going to take a break, have a drink, a packet of flame grilled steak, McCoy's, and a donut. Now that, my friends, is living the dream. So I'm just sat at the base of Captain Cook's monument on the western side, southwestern side, looking out across, I think it's called the Vale of York, with the North Yorkshire Dales in the distance. And high above me, as you can see there, is Captain Cook's monument. And I'm about to start the descent down through the woodland to Ayton station, and then I've got a small climb up a little back lane, I can't remember what it's called now, and I'll join the footpath which will take me back into Cliff Rig quarry site, and then back down across the two field sections and back into Great Ayton. It's been a good day today. I've unpacked quite a lot of complex thoughts, and I know when I get back to my van I will have a sense of achievement that I've actually done something with my life today. But before I rock up and start hiking down again, I'll talk to you a little bit, just briefly, about HFAD and the key characteristics with me and how it affects my life. Let me try and put it into a very, very simple summary. This is for me, and it's not the same for everyone with HFAD. But for me, I don't worry about, nor do I stress about the big stuff. So if World War III broke out tomorrow, I'm on it. I've got a plan. I know what I'm doing. I know where to go. I won't be one of those running around like a headless chicken. But before I came out today, I had to make sure there was no crumbs on the kitchen worktop. So I worry about the small stuff, but not the big stuff. Does that make sense? Because to me, sometimes it's a bit bonkers. And on the subject of World War III, I think we've got 3 different types of characters. There'll be your full-time preppers, who would have probably spent the last few years building some sort of nuclear bunker. Then you have people like me, your high functioning anxiety disorders, that will have a plan. They won't worry about it because I've got some sort of plan. They'll be keeping an eye on the escalations and will make a decision when it's time to grab your bug out bag and get on the move with your family, your friends and your loved ones. And some of them will think you're crazy, and they won't come with you. And then there's the others that just don't care because it's never happened, so it never will happen. But history repeats itself time and time again. At the end of World War I, I'm sure people said there would never be World War II. And at the end of World War II, when they formed NATO as a defensive coalition or alliance to prevent World War III, people were confident that they'd got the procedures and the measures in place to prevent another world war. But every day that goes by, we move further and further and further away from the peace and the normality that we've been living with for so long, and we move nearer and nearer and nearer to a full-scale conflict in Europe, which ultimately will become a world war. So my friends, I'm going to push on. I'm going to ruck up and start the descent down through the woodland towards Ayton station, and then eventually start the last of my hike back to Great Ayton. And on the way down I'll jump back on and I'll talk to you a little bit more about my life as someone who lives with, not suffers from, high functioning anxiety disorder. So I'll see you all in a little while. Okay, so we're on our way away from Captain Cook's monument, and there it is. No introduction needed. Sitting proudly on the western fringes of the North Yorkshire moors, overlooking Great Ayton, which was Captain Cook's birthplace. And bullseye to the frame is Great Ayton itself. You might not be able to make it out, but I can see it from here. You can just see the rooftops of the houses. So my friends, I'm starting my walk down towards Ayton station now. And just to recap, I left Great Ayton this morning at 11 o'clock, crossed the two fields, crossed the railway line, joined the footpath at Cliff Rig, walked all the way to Roseberry Topping. This is an interesting feature, isn't it? Guessing there would have been some gate there. There seems to be like an old stone wall tracing back up. There's obviously a hinge on this one, look. See it just there. So where were we? So we climbed up over Roseberry Topping, west to east. Very windy on the topping, and we joined the Cleveland Way extension. We then climbed back up onto the Cleveland Way, and we proceeded along the western fringe, and we descended down into Gribdale Gate. We then climbed up the flagstones to Captain Cook's monument, and I'm now starting the descent down through the fern to Ayton station. This is a real nice little descent, this is. I've done this once or twice before. My understanding is it's one of the old footpaths that was used by the miners or the quarry workers. Quite a pleasant walk to work when the weather's like this, but not so pleasant in the winter months when it would be cold and wet and icy and possibly knee deep in snow. The snow always falls on the moors and the dales before it falls in the Vale of York. And that's where we're going. The path splits here, guys, you can see. But there's a little yellow footpath way marker just down there, bullseye to the frame now. So that's where we're going. So I'm going to descend down here without filming, and then when I get back into the trees, I'm going to jump back on, talk to you a little bit more about HFAD.